The movie starts off with an intriguing broadcast from an Earth base located in the frozen terrains of Antarctica. The message relayed to the crew on a remote spacecraft is that due to the vast distance between them, the requested supplies could not be dispatched. With a sincere note of goodwill, the individual wishes the crew good luck and the transmission ceases. Following this, we're introduced to the aging spacecraft named Darkstar. Worn by time and battered by countless journeys, many of its communication and essential systems are on the brink of failure. The crew aboard this vessel, comprising Boiler, Pinback, and others, is seen meticulously trying to establish contact with their crewmate Talby. Talby is situated in a dome immersed in a mesmerizing sight of the stars. Once the stable line of communication is achieved, they converse with bomb number 19. Now this isn't just any bomb, it has a formidable capacity to obliterate entire planets. Post their communication with the bomb, the crew releases it onto its fateful destination. The Dark Star leaps into hyperspace, distancing itself from the targeted planet. The crew then gets to observe the catastrophic explosion, but from a very reassuring distance, ensuring their safety. The onboard computer soon informs the crew that they've successfully neutralized the last of the unstable planets in that sector, making it ripe and safe for future colonization. But in a twist, the computer detects yet another volatile red dwarf planet, and fueled by duty, the team decides to explore further. Boiler, one of the crew members, nudges Doolittle, the authoritative commander, to name the newly discovered planet. Doolittle, however, declines, and Boiler nostalgically recalls how their late commander Powell, who tragically met his end due to a malfunctioning chair, would have risen to the occasion. Now, Powell remains preserved aboard the ship in cryogenic suspension. Doolittle, documenting their journey, logs that the Dark Star will approach the supernova named Veil Nebula in approximately 17 hours. He elucidates the ship's primary mission to identify and eliminate unstable planets which pose potential threats to any future colonization attempts. As a side note, he reveals a rather humorous yet concerning fact. The ship, due to various system failures, had a segment self-destruct leading to the loss of all onboard toilet paper. In the gripping continuation of the story, the ship's computer abruptly halts the cheerful music to issue a dire warning. An impending asteroid storm is approaching. As the Dark Star sails through this treacherous storm, it gets jolted by a powerful surge of electromagnetic energy. This sudden interference triggers yet another glitch in the ship's systems, and as a result, bomb number 20, another planet-annihilating weapon aboard the ship, mistakenly interprets an order to launch. Recognizing the error, the computer quickly intervenes, instructing the bomb to abort its premature deployment. The bomb, momentarily assessing its readiness for an emergency drop, eventually concedes and retreats back to its original position upon the computer's forceful override. Following their harrowing journey through the asteroid storm, a grim discovery awaits the crew. The ship's laser apparatus, which was previously compromised, now has an added problem thanks to the storm. With the immediate danger behind him, the crew gathers to process the event, and the computer confirms the malfunction, and the team decides to regroup and recover. During this downtime, Boiler reminisces about a past storm that they endured, and he raises concern about their cramped living conditions and proposes that they repair their sleeping quarters to avoid bundling up in the food storage area. Seeking to offer solace, the computer plays smooth melodies, and to uplift spirits, the crew engages in lighthearted diversions. Mischievously, Pinback plays pranks on both Boiler and Doolittle, and annoyed, Doolittle retreats and finds peace in crafting music with glass bottles. A touching moment unfolds when Doolittle, carrying food, approaches Talby, tasked with overseeing the ship's operations, and Talby often finds himself lost in the vast, starry expanse. Concerned about Talby's solitude, Doolittle suggests that he can chill more with the crew to keep off loneliness. Talby confides in Doolittle about his discomfort aboard the Dark Star, especially since the unfortunate death of Powell. As Talby immerses himself in the awe-inspiring expanse of space, Doolittle gently reminds him that time seems to stand still for them in space. Their prolonged stay of 20 years in space only manifested as a mere 3-year age progression. Elsewhere, we find Pinback attempting to tan under a light bulb inside the ship, looking for a momentary escape from the endless expanse of space. This moment of relaxation is disrupted by Boiler, who, in a bid to chase away boredom, starts firing at a square of lead metal with their emergency weapon, and Pinback warns him, but to no avail. Then suddenly, the ship's computer interrupts this scene with a reminder for Pinback. It's feeding time for the pet alien. Pinback isn't too thrilled by the task, expressing his reluctance to do so. The computer rebukes him, recalling that it was Pinback's idea to bring the quirky creature on board in the first place, having argued the ship needed a mascot. The alien, eerily resembling a fusion of a giant basketball and a goose, is a real challenge. It outright rejects the food Pinback presents, and as Pinback attempts to clean up, the creature springs at him, sparking a spirited chase throughout the ship. The chase leads to an elevator shaft where Pinback finds himself precariously hanging with the mischievous alien seemingly attempting to push him down. In the ensuing chaos, the elevator is accidentally activated, and as it descends, Pinback clings on for dear life, and when the alien inadvertently wreaks havoc on the already compromised communication laser system, this unintentional incident sends a signal to Talby and prompts Bomb 20 to gear up for deployment once again. The ship's computer frantically attempts to negotiate with the bomb, stressing the accidental nature of the command. And after a tense exchange, Bomb 20 hesitantly agrees to stand down, but forewarns him might not be so compliant next time. Alerted, Talby informs the matter to Doolittle, who responds with casual indifference, suggesting that they'll address it only if it becomes a significant concern. In the meantime, Pinback finds himself in a tight spot, literally, wedged halfway inside the descending elevator, and he tries calling for help, but the phone is dysfunctional. Thinking quickly, he breaks through the elevator floor, managing a close escape. Undeterred, Pinback eventually corners the elusive alien, and in a climatic twist eliminates it. Later on, as Doolittle, Boiler, and Pinback share a meal, they ponder over the existence of intelligent life in the Veil Nebula. Elsewhere, Talby, sensing something amiss, delves deeper into identifying the root cause of their technical glitches. Amid these events, Pinback shares a frequently recounted story of mistaken identity, revealing that he is in fact Bill Frog. On the day of the launch, amidst an unexpected turn of events, he was mistaken for an actual astronaut named Pinback. The real Pinback, in a tragic and bizarre twist, ended his life on the launching pad, leaving Bill to accidentally take his place on the Dark Star. Meanwhile, as Talby traces the problem back to the laser room, he immediately informs Doolittle, who acknowledges the update, but asks to be informed only if matters escalate further. Elsewhere, aboard the Dark Star ship, Pinback, also known as Bill, takes a quiet moment for himself. He heads to the video room seeking comfort in the familiar, and in this private space, he plays back his personal diary recordings, and these recordings serve as a testament to his challenging feelings and emotions during this very long mission. The passing of time hasn't been kind to him, and the death of Powell weighs heavily on his heart, and he feels that without Powell, the whole dynamic of the mission has shifted. In his latest recording, Pinback shares a deep sadness. He feels overlooked by his fellow crew members and is hurt that they didn't remember to celebrate his birthday. On the other side of the ship, the onboard computer detects a pressing concern. The communication laser 17 isn't working properly. It urgently signals the need for immediate attention, especially before they deploy another bomb. But the crew immersed in their dreams remains unaware. Only Talby, ever watchful, is alert to the whole situation. As they near the unstable planet, Bomb 20 is prepped for detonation with an 8-minute drop time and a 24-minute explosion countdown. Talby, navigating the ship's emergency airlock, a special door that can be opened without depressurizing, approaches the troublesome Laser 17. He notifies Doolittle about the glitch, but Doolittle and the team, who were wholly absorbed in the Bomb 20 proceedings, dismiss his alert. Without warning, the misfire laser kicks into a test mode, unexpectedly firing and damaging the ship. In his brave effort to fix the situation, Talby unintentionally steps right into the path of the laser, and the unfortunate mistake costs him his eyesight, leaving him blind. The situation worsens as the crew grapples with issues releasing the bomb. Try as they might, Bomb 20 refuses to detach from the ship. Panic arises as the crew faces the real threat of an explosion from an active bomb, and in these dire moments, Doolittle looks to Powell for any help. Kept in a deep frozen ship in a cryogenic chamber, Doolittle awakens him, and emerging from a long sleep, Powell finds it challenging to think clearly. At the same time, Bowler is in a frantic race against time, attempting to persuade Bomb 20 not to explode. However, the resolute bomb seems set on its destructive path. Using the vast knowledge that he's gathered over the years, Powell suggests an unusual solution to Doolittle. He thinks that they should talk to Bomb 20 about the deep thoughts of phenomenology, which is really just trying to understand how we see and feel the world around us. As they float in the endless space, Doolittle begins a deep and thought-provoking chat with Bomb 20. He encourages the bomb to think differently and ask itself how it perceives everything outside. Bomb 20, now intrigued by these fresh ideas, feels a sense of sadness about the fact that it's set to explode soon. At the same time, things are heating up between Boiler and Pinback. Boiler is set on trying to get the bomb out by hand, but this leads to a big argument with Pinback. Things get really bad when in the heat of the moment, Boiler accidentally shoots at Pinback, but Pinback doesn't back down, and instead he fights back, and soon the two are caught up in a fierce fight, pushing and shoving each other. While everyone is on edge aboard the Dark Star, Doolittle takes a shot at making Bomb 20 think deeply about itself. Even though it's built to just explode, Bomb 20 starts having second thoughts. It admits that it's not sure anymore about what it's meant to do, and it wonders if it should really go off, and if now is the right time. Bomb 20 is really trying to just figure out one big thing. How can it even know for sure that what's outside is real? And without any solid proof that the orders that it's getting are genuine, the bomb decides to stay put inside the ship, lost in deep thoughts. Seeing this, Pinback and Boiler stop fighting, especially when the ship's computer says that the bomb won't explode for now. Talby, regaining consciousness and utterly disoriented, tries to piece together the events leading to his blackout. Acting on Doolittle's orders, and the duo, unaware of Talby's proximity, unknowingly eject him into the vastness of space as they open the door. In a desperate bid to retrieve their fellow crew member, Doolittle commands the two to establish radio contact with Talby. While everyone is rushing around trying to fix things, Pinback gives it a shot and tries to give Bomb 20 a new set of instructions. However, the bomb, now lost in deep thoughts about whether it can trust orders from the outside, decides not to listen. Making a big statement with a "let there be light," Bomb 20 makes up its mind to explode. This sad choice ends up taking the lives of both Boiler and Pinback. The huge explosion throws Talby and Doolittle out into space, sending them flying away from each other in completely different directions. Now all alone and apart from each other, Talby and Doolittle find themselves floating without direction, not knowing what the future holds. Doolittle, being pulled by the gravitational force of a nearby planet, knows that he's in trouble. He understands that he might catch fire and burn up when he gets too close to the planet's atmosphere. Meanwhile, Powell, who's like a frozen statue now, is just floating out there in the huge space with no clear path ahead. By a surprising turn of events, Talby ends up near the beautiful Phoenix asteroids. This lucky chance means that he gets to join these asteroids on their amazing journey through space, so instead of being all alone, he now has a chance to travel around the universe with these shimmering space rocks. While all this is happening, Doolittle spots some broken pieces of the Dark Star. Thinking quickly, he grabs a chunk of the ship's wreckage, and it's almost like he's turned it into a space surfboard. It reminds him of times when he used to surf back on Earth. Now, in this dreamy and strange setting, Doolittle seems to be surfing again, but in the vastness of space. Even though he knows he's headed toward danger, he moves gracefully, and the movie ends with an emotional scene, Doolittle catching fire and blending in with the planet's atmosphere, lighting up the space around him.